Hey, Angela Wolf here, and welcome to Behind the Scenes. So how are you today? You know what I'm finishing up today. And no, I didn't make it in time for last weekend, but I'll give you a little peek. Nope, not the jeans. That's something different. There it is. All we have left to do is the zipper. I finished the pockets. And then on the back side, I want to take a look at just a couple things there and show you how to hem it with the facing. So we're going to be finished with our skirt, at least for this weekend. So pop in, say hi, say where you're from. If you've never been here before, we're live streaming on my YouTube. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Then you'll never miss a video. If you're on Facebook, be sure to like and share to your page if you want to watch a rerun. And we're also on Twitter and Twitch. Now, speaking of Facebook, I'm a little annoyed. Can you tell? Last week during the live show, some company that I've never heard of, not in the USA, decided to claim rights to my live show. So we all know that we get really, let's say, I don't know, automated. So this was obviously not a person that did this, but something through Facebook allowed it to happen to claim copyrights to the live show. Well, I'm here, it's me, and that's impossible. So if you go on Facebook and you see anything, now I filed a dispute, they haven't taken it off yet, but if you see any company listed below one of my videos, do not click on it. It's still going to take you to Facebook, so you're not going to get hacked. But don't like that company and don't click on it. I just cannot believe in today's world that you can actually claim copyright on a live video. So I did not delete last week's video because it was way too good with Jeff from Craft Optics. But if they don't remove that, what I'm going to do is delete the video off of Facebook and upload the YouTube video, because the YouTube video is fine. So just a little glitch there, not my fault, but some company decides that they would like to copyright me. How do you like that? Good luck, buddy, right? So I see you all rolling in. Hello, hello. Let's get to the news for the week before we get sewing, all right? Because I have a few things to talk about. One, tomorrow is a super busy day. And I've also uploaded some videos into some of your classes. So are you in the pant sloper class? Have you been fitting your pants? If you log in there now and you scroll down to the end, there is a new bonus video in there, how to take your sloper and use my jeans pattern and turn it into jeans. Just a brief video. It's unedited at this point, but you can still watch it. And that way you can, if you're following along in the jeans class and you already have a sloper that fits, no sense in fitting two patterns. So that's in there. And are you in the jeans class? If you're not, you should join us. It's been a lot of fun. You don't have to watch it live. All the videos are in there. But we had a little glitch with the computer on the last one where, I don't know what's going on. We had a storm going. So we restarted. All the videos are in there to watch. So today I added how to hem and add your belt loops. So I know some of you were saying, are we going to do this live? I know some of you want to finish your jeans before the weekend. So I have that video. And then tomorrow, so you can actually see that in the class now. Scroll to the end, you'll see hemming and belt loops. And tomorrow I will add the buttons, buttonholes, and rivets. So they will be pre-recorded, not live, but I will leave a discussion area for you so you can ask questions. So they'll all be up before the weekend. And then the last thing is, because we had scheduled a Zoom on Saturday and the internet where I'm going to be is down, let me just say squirrel. Those darn squirrels keep chewing through my cord. I have moved that Zoom session for show and tell and live Q&A for the jeans class to next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And I will be sending out a newsletter to the jeans class. All right. Speaking of newsletters, did you get your newsletter this morning? Bright and early, 7 a.m. It went out to everyone in the whole Wolf Pack. And then about 20 minutes later, the Fashion Sewing Club, you got a newsletter reminding you of our live session tomorrow at 2. All right, I think that's almost it for the news, except for two things. Have you entered the giveaway? I'm going to share it right here for you. Here you go. This is the giveaway for Craft Optics, the Wow Package, which is valued at $823. You saw us last week. If you missed that show, go back and watch. It was a great show. And also you can enter here. I'll give you the link. Here you go. I'll put it in the comments. Here you go. There. I think if you're on YouTube and Facebook, you should be able to click on that link. Oh, and Twitch. All right. And also, if you want extra entries, you're going to click here to go to my blog post. Also, be sure to visit them and say hi to them on Facebook. I've got something fun coming this weekend. It'll be kind of like a little social run around. I love giving you extra opportunities to win a fabulous pair of glasses. All right, so I can see you all saying hello, hello. Oh, Mary, did that happen to somebody else? Like what? Like tell them to get a life, right? You want to copyright what we're doing live? Oh my gosh, yeah, whatever. I know. My hair goes up a little bit. I get a few more gray hairs, but other than that, I'm getting kind of used to a lot of these like little spammers. They need to get a life. That's all I got to say. All right, so there's the contest for Craft Optics. If you go on their Facebook, Instagram, you'll see that they've posted this as well. So if you want extra entries, go over and tell them thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so Deb, you're in the Fashion Sewing Club, but you didn't get an email. Hey, Deb, let me, I'm going to write down your last name. And I will double check why. Check your spam folder too. We've had a really weird deal with emails. I think there was one person, Stacy, I don't know if you're on here, but I've emailed her like 4 times and she hasn't gotten any of the emails. So check your spam, check your bulk. These internet gremlins are really, really crazy. Okay, what else do we have for news? That's the giveaway. And tomorrow, for those of you that like to have the free dime events, there's a lot of education in there. No, I'm not teaching. I'm just launching it and saying hi and then giving it to them. And I'm actually watching it with you. So it's all about monograms to the next degree, beyond monograms. That's tomorrow. It's totally free. It's at 4 p.m. It was in the newsletter today. So click on that. Be sure to register in advance though, because that way you'll get a reminder for tomorrow at 4. And if you can't make it, you can watch the rerun. I think they said for 48 hours. Also, they have some really good sales during that time. So if you do like some of their products, I don't know what they're going to feature tomorrow, but I know that they have some really good deals in there. All right. Is it time, Joanna? Is it a one-time entry for Craft Optics? No, you can enter once every single day. Every day you can. Yep. Okay, so let's get rolling on the skirt. You can ask your questions. I think I gave you the news for the week. If I'm missing something, ask a question. You can always email me too. In that email I sent you for the newsletter, all you have to do is click reply and I will hopefully get it. If I don't reply, all my email boxes are empty now. Well, kind of. If I have not replied to you and you've sent an email as of yesterday at 5 p.m., now, I haven't answered today's yet, but yesterday at 5 p.m. and I haven't replied, then be sure to send another one. It means I didn't get it. And make sure you're using the right email address. Some people have been sending it to the wrong place. When I finally say, where are you sending it? They tell me the email address they're trying. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. So you got to make sure you spell it correctly too. All right, everyone, let's go work on the last of our skirt. All right, I'll put a link, by the way, to the dime event in the Facebook group too, so you have it. All right, I'm just trying to take this little banner down. There you go. Okay, so this is what I've done so far. I added the pockets. You saw me cut these last week. How do they look? They're usable. I think they look nice. I matched them up the best that I could as far as the print. And what does it look like on the back side? There you go. There's my fancy fabric for my lining pockets. See that? So the front is finished. I've already serged around the entire edge of the front just to keep things down. And now I'm going to add the zipper. The zipper is going to go on, for me, it's going to go on the left side. So I have this piece finished, but I first need to finish the back. And also, before I get rid of this, I wanted to talk about what happens when you want to hem this, but I don't want to have to turn this up an entire hem. I'd really like to keep this length. So that means I'm going to need a facing. So this is my front piece. You're going to create 2 separate facing pieces. You could draw this on paper. I'm just going to do it right on the fabric. So fold your pattern in half. This is my front. Grab your fabric that you're going to use for your facing. For me, I'm just going to use the same denim that I've been using for this whole project. Just have to find a piece that's wide enough here. Is that wide enough? Ooh. Ooh, almost, not quite. Nope. I have to find a piece that's a little bit, boy, I really used a lot of this fabric, I guess. All right, let's go to this side. I'm just folding the fabric in half, trying to find a half. Folding from selvage to selvage, you want to make sure your grain lines are all matched up. I usually will do this facing part, or at least cut the pattern for it, before I sew my side seams together. It's much easier when it's flat. You could use your original pattern as a guide too, but if you made any changes, that won't work. Okay, slide this down just so you can see what I'm doing here. I just want this folded piece to be just as wide as my skirt, but I don't want to waste any fabric. So you never know, I might be able to get a pair of shorts out of that extra. All right, this looks pretty good. I actually don't even need that much. So fold this up a little bit more. So here's my selvage edge. It's hard to see because it's dark. Make sure my grain line is straight here, which I can eyeball that and see. If you're not sure, what you do is you measure from your selvage over and give yourself kind of a chalk line as a guide. So my skirt is on the fold. Center front right here with this fold here. There you go. All right, now I'm not going to use a rotary cutter here. I'm going to cut slowly just so you can see. And I think I'm right on the edge of 2 cutting mats. So, all right, if I get to the end right there, and now I'm going to cut up, and we're going to cut up 3 inches. Oh, I see somebody asking about this. Reen gave me this. Is this the cutest thing ever? I think this was from Reen. I'm almost positive. She always has the cutest projects. Thanks, Reen. All right, we're going to go up 3 inches. And what that 3 inches will do is give me a seam allowance. Now, my seam allowance, it can either be a 1/2 inch. I'm going to use 3/8 of an inch as a seam allowance. You could even use a 1/4 inch if you don't have a lot of fabric. But by going up 3 inches, it gives me a guide. So I'll have a seam allowance, and then I can press this up and have enough of an edge up here to hem and have a nice crisp edge. If you make it too short, sometimes your skirt will flip out. Like, yeah, literally flip out. So let's mark 3 inches up. I'm just going to use some chalk here as a guide. 3 inches, 3 inches. If I decide I want to make that shorter, I can serge that edge off. But for now, we're going to start with 3 inches. All right, so this is my front. And I'm just going to put front with my chalk, front facing. All right, so this, when I go to sew it in place, will match this. Why do you do it this way? Well, see how this kind of angles out? It's an A-line skirt. If I don't do that and I just made a straight line, it's not going to match when we go to try to hem this. All right, so there's my front. Now we need to do the same thing for the back. Fold my back in half here. I haven't serged this one yet, but hopefully I tried to serge it with gray so you could see it, but hopefully you'll be able to see these fabrics on top of each other. If not, you're just going to have to trust me. All right. This has kind of a jagged edge. I really did kind of a really not very good job keeping that even. I must have either been looking at the camera, not using good scissors, or my rotary cutting was less than stellar. So when I cut this, I'm going to make sure this is nice and even. So I'm really just following my skirt, but I'm making that cutting a little bit nicer. Again, up the side, I'm matching my side seam to the skirt. And now let's mark up 3 inches. Okay, so now this is my back facing piece. BF, BFF, best friends forever. That's the wolf pack. All right, so there's my back. Now I'm not quite finished with the back. If you look closely here, what did I do last week? I took my skirt and then I added these little gray panels to the back. Basically piping, just like the front. And then we were going to decide if we wanted to have quilting along that for the back or if we just wanted black. So for 1 second, I'm going to take your vote. Should I put just black underneath? Or should I put quilting? So I'll give you an example of both. Now this is the back. I don't know how much attention you really want to your back side. This is the front. That's the back. So once this is put together, you would have this is going to be sewn into here. I'm kind of really opting for just plain black, but I'll wait to see what you have to say. You want it quilted or do you want just the black? I mean, I suppose if we go with the quilted pocket, it will match the front if I lined it up close enough. I don't know. What's your vote? Go ahead. Let me see what you got for me. Black, black, black. All right. Yes. Oh, that is from Reen. You know, actually, it is from Reen because I have the bigger scissor case right next to it over here. Hey, Clovis. Nice to see you. Thanks, Mary. I'm so glad you think the skirt is cute. Oh, Patricia, we would miss you if you missed today. Email address, just send it to info@angelawolf.com. info@angelawolf.com. And that will go, that will be forwarded to my email. Hey, I'm new. I lost first time how to register. Oh, hey, so to register for the jeans class, go to angelawolf.com. Here you go. And you can click on Fashion Sewing Club or the Academy. So once you go there, here, I'll just show you real quick. And it will take you right there. So here's angelawolf.com. I'll bring this up to the party. And if you scroll here, Fashion Sewing Club members, I leave this right at the top for it's easy for them to find. Here's the Academy, Fashion Sewing Club, Angela Wolf Patterns, and Behind the Scenes Live. This is how you sign up for the newsletter right here. If you click on Academy, there's the Academy, and scroll down, there's the jeans class. If you're in the Fashion Sewing Club, you have a discount to the jeans class as well. So it will probably pay for your first month or very close. So, and then there's a lot of other classes there too. And the class remains open. I had a few people asking that, how long does the class stay open? Well, even though we taped it live, I'm still going to go back and edit some of those videos to take out some of the comments. You know, we have a lot of fun when we're live, but if you're watching a replay, you might not have as much fun. You just want to get to the point. So the class is open as long as my Academy's open, which means probably as long as I'm alive. So hopefully that's a very, very long time. Let's hope, right? If not, then at least I got it out. Or poor Win. Win can manage the page. How's that? Hey, Chris, great to see you. All right. Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. Everybody's saying black. You think I should do black? Hi, Kathy. Okay. You guys think it just should be plain? Jan, Annie, everyone. I think it's unanimous. Hi, Judith. Oh, goodness. All right. No quilting. Everybody says no quilting. Well, then that's what it's going to be. Oh, Patty, thank you for reminding me. Reen was on the show when she made me that because she sent those to me before the show. Yes, so many live shows, I just forget. All right, everybody's saying black. You're welcome. If you need me, you holler. And also, I have a contact link on my webpage, too, that you can just email from there as well. Yvette, yes, the patterns are PDF. They're PDF. And they come in a letter size, A4, and full page that you could print out in an office store. Hey, Susie, you're at work. Don't mess with you while you're multitasking. All right, back to the skirt. Okay, black it is. I'm going to go with the Wolfpack's decision because you have really good taste. Really good taste. And yes, here's the other zipper case that Reen showed us. Did we do this on a brother show or was it my show? I can't remember, but I do remember now. And I love these because guess what? It fits my Kai scissors perfectly. Look at that. You get an Angela Wolf scissors and make your own Reen case. All right, so let's go with the black. So I need to cut. This part's going to be a little bit tricky because I really don't need pockets in the back. It's just to finish. So let's just line this up. I'll cut 2 of these. And I'm just going to kind of chalk this in first to give me an idea. Here's my back skirt pattern. So if I line this up with the side seam in the top, I need to draw this in. Oh, but you know I bumped it. All right, go back. Take 2, go back. So I need to line up my pattern with the skirt, which I can see here. There we go. I will need to cut 2 of these, but it needs to be sewn into this section right here. So what I'm going to do is just see if I can. I'm going to flip back where I sewed. I'm going to have to make adjustments. I can't just cut it here or it's going to be too short. But this is where I sewed my piping. You can see how I sewed my piping right here, and then I pressed it this way. So by laying this back out, that is my original cut line. Now from there, I need to add a seam allowance. And I had just about 1/2 inch. I can cut better than I can draw. So there's going to be my filler. Make sure I've got enough fabric here. Yeah, I do. Right down each side. All right. Now we have. Are any of you actually designing this same skirt the way I'm doing it? Because I would love to see the colors you're using or anything else that you have on here. All right, so this is how, I kind of like that actually. Actually, that would have been cute in the front too. But it's in the back, and I don't want real pockets. So now, because I have this, I'm just going to pin this in place and stitch this curve right to my piping. It's a little tricky sewing on the curve, so we will do that live. Just going to make sure that these pockets stay together. All right, I'll meet you at the sewing machine. All right, I have some gray thread in here, which is what I'm using for the jeans class for my top stitching, but I'll keep it just because I know you'll be able to see this a little bit better. And if I sew correctly, you won't see it from the right side anyways. So here's one of my pockets. Bring you down just a little bit. Again, this is the right side. And then from the back side, I need to sew this on this curve. I'm just going to throw a few pins in here. So what I'm doing is pinning this curve to the piping. And I'm going to follow the same seam that I already sewed. And I know it's a little dark to see here, but hopefully when I get under the machine, you'll see a little bit better. So we've got that little section pinned to this curve. Sewing curves can be a little tricky, but I'm going to follow the exact same seam as I used with attaching the piping. Make sure I've got a straight stitch. Nope, I'm on a zigzag. Let me just start that over. We don't need a zigzag there. We're just sewing the seam. I'm using a 2.5 stitch length. So I know it's a little tricky to see on the black fabric, but you'll be able to see once we get around the curve. Don't get seasick. Excuse me. All right, so what do we have here? It's sewn in place. That looks pretty good. I could do a nice row of top stitching to keep that in place if I want. I'll run it through the serger first. All right, now we have this side. And again, I'm going to start on one end. I don't need pins for this one. I'll just sew it just like I would normally without pins. I'm stitching on the same exact stitch line as I did for the piping, so use the same seam allowance basically is what I mean by that. And this time, watch how I maneuver this curved fabric over. I'll stitch just a little bit and maneuver that over to help stitch around that curve. So you're basically stitching an inside curve. That looks wonderful. All right, we have to serge it real quick. I know Blinky's going to probably show up. Blinky always shows up when we're trying to serge. Be very careful when you're serging this pocket edge that the fabric from your skirt doesn't get tucked under the knife. If it does, I'll probably be able to hear you yell from here. And if you end up with a hole in your skirt, just use some embroidery to cover up your mistake. How's that? A design opportunity? All right, let's go to the ironing board. For some reason, I've got the sniffles today. I know it's allergy season, but if I keep sneezing, sorry about that. All right, so here's the inside. And you can see that pretty good with that gray stitching, the gray, I'm using gray thread purposely so you can see this, but you're not going to see it anyways from the right side of the garment. So I think these pockets turned out really cute. You? Good idea. All right, so I want to also now add my invisible zipper. So it's going to go on the left side, which is this. I'm going to run this through the serger first because I'm going to press the seam allowance open. So let's go back to the serger. Make you just a little bit brighter. There you go. How's that? Better? I'm just barely trimming off any fabric that's crooked. I'm trying not to change my seam allowance, but might as well just serge all the way around. Following some of the serging lessons on the brother page recently. Our live shows have all been about serging because it's National Serger Month. All right, now this is my hem. I don't really have to serge this, but I think you'll be able to see me sew it better if I do. All right, so my entire piece is serged. Let's go back to the ironing board. Before I go there, I'll just move you back over to the sewing machine because that's where we're going next. All right. So here's my back piece. It's all finished. I've serged around the edges just to give it a little bit more. You'll be able to see it better as well. And also, once I put the zipper, it'll be on the left side, this seam will be pressed open. So you really want to serge that or finish that edge so you don't end up with raw edges on your skirt. All right, so where are we going to put our zipper? I prefer the left side. It's totally your choice, but that's usually where it goes. So it's going to go right in here. So this is my left side from here to here. All right, so you need a guide. Actually, this is going to look pretty good. If I match this up just right, it looks like my pocket's just a little bit lower, but I could make some adjustments to the waist. So then on that way, this part will match. Boy, that's going to be tricky to do, but let's make it work. So I'll put some chalk here. This is where I'm going to probably try to cut that off. That way it'll match right here. To prep your invisible zipper, I like to press my teeth open. Now I'm using an iron shoe, so I don't have to worry about melting anything. And I've never melted a zipper to this point, knock on wood. I've heard people say, oh gosh, you're going to melt your zipper. I mean, you're going to have to really try hard to do that, by the way. So I'm pressing the teeth open because I'm just going to use a regular zipper foot because that's what I have on my machine right now. You could use an invisible zipper foot too, which actually spreads those teeth open. All right, so I'm going to start with I can have as much extra at the bottom as I want because I'm going to cut it off. So I'm going to start with this up at the top so that I've got like kind of a zipper stop up here. Oops, here we go. And I have 1/2 inch seam allowance. So if I take this right to the top, after I add my zipper, see if I want my waistband to go about right here, I'm going to want the zipper stop to go right below that. So here's zipper facing up, just take it and flip it over. So the wrong side is facing the fabric. I'll just throw a few pins in here just so I can move around. If I was by myself and sewing, I would not use pins. All right, now how far down should your zipper go? Maybe you have a zipper that's really, really long. You just want to go to where the fullest part of the hip is, maybe just beyond that, because the whole purpose of the zipper is just to get the skirt on. So if you have larger hips, your zipper might go a little further down. If you don't have any hips and you're all straight up and down, maybe your zipper is short. It's just to get the skirt on. It's an invisible one. You're not even going to see it, so it's not for decoration or anything. So I'm going to measure, let's go 6 inches. Why don't I go 7 inches to right here? So that's how far down I'm going to stitch. All right, let's go to the machine. All right, I'm checking all your comments. Oh, thanks, Anne. Perfect serge corner. I didn't even notice. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even plan that. I guess I do that in my sleep. Thanks for noticing. The left, yes, definitely. Left, left. All right, any other comments or questions before I go to the, hey, Lorraine, so glad you could make it. I know. Joanna, those jeans are awfully cute, I have to say. All right, back to the sewing machine. All right, I'm just going to make this just a little brighter. I know that once I put dark fabric under there, it really has a tendency to darken up. How's that? Better? Much better. Got my zipper foot. And for this side, I'm going to use the left side of the zipper. If you have a side that everybody's machine is different. Your zipper foot might look a little bit different. You can also use it invisible, like I mentioned. I'm just going to start at the top. Do a little back stitch there. Again, I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance here, so I'm making sure that my zipper is over far enough for that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now, because I want to match this piping up with the back, I'm going to do something a little bit different than you probably would for just a regular sewing project, but it might be beneficial. Now, when you get to the bottom, I marked 7 inches. It doesn't have to be 7 inches, but you want to make sure that as far down as you stitch on your invisible zipper, give yourself, I usually like to give myself at least 1 inch at the bottom. That way you can maneuver this when you're sewing in your side seam. If you go right to the edge of the, as low as your hidden zipper goes, that's not going to work. So I can see my chalk mark here. That's as far as I'm going to stitch. I'm actually folding the teeth open as I stitch down. All right, there's one of my sides. I used gray thread so you can see it. And if I fold this over, let's make sure it closes. Whenever you have a thick seam with all that piping, you just want to make sure you're not stitching too close to the edge, or what happens is you can't open your zipper and it stresses that zipper. Anybody had a wedding dress that had a bunch of fabric right at the waistband and then it popped or ripped right there? Well, that's why. All right, back to the pressing. Okay. Now there's a few markings on your zipper that you're going to need. Number one, the other side of the skirt, when I attach it, needs to stop at this exact point on your zipper. So you have a few options. I'm going to put just a little snip. This exact stop, I'll put a snip just to make sure that that's right here. You'll see why in a minute, but that needs to stop at the exact same point, not lower, not higher. The other marking I want is for my piping, which looks like right here's the top and right there is the bottom. So why don't I give myself 2 more little snips in the zipper tape. Now these are like microscopic itsy bitsy snips. Don't cut too far. You don't want to rip your zipper. Okay, so now let's open the zipper up. I'm not worrying about the top of my side over here. I already told you that I might choose to lower that a little bit. If I do so, this might actually, I might have to have a little dart in the back, because by lowering this, that might make the back of my waist a little looser. But I would rather line up this piping to each other. So here's one side finished. And here's my zipper. So this is face up right now. See my zipper top here. Now take it and flip it over. So the zipper tape is right here and the zipper teeth are right here. Now, these little white marks that I made, I've got little snips. I'm actually gonna, where I have these snips, I'm gonna mark on the other side of the tape just so you can see it, because you can't see my little snips. There you go. Flip it over. All right, now I'm going to need to put a pin right there, because that is going to be a very important section that has to match. See, my chalk marks and my snips are right on target. And then when I get down to here, I'll go ahead and chalk this in on this side just so you can see where my snip is. When I get down to here, this is where I need to stop stitching. So I have 2 options. In order to make sure that this lines up really good, just making sure that I could start stitching and go up and start stitching and go down. Sometimes when you start stitching up here, if the fabric moves at all, that won't line up exactly the way you want it to. Just double checking my snips here. Yeah, that looks good. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stitch in 2 different directions just to make sure that that's even. And I have my zipper flipped over, so the zipper tape is that way and the teeth are that way. Meet you at the sewing machine. Okay, now I think I'll start with this side since the zipper's already, I've got my pin going that direction. I'm moving my zipper foot to the other side now. I'm going to start right where my pin is. So put that down, remove your pin. And then I'll stitch down. Again, I'm sliding my tape over just far enough that I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I've done this forever so I can visually know where this is. It's basically right next to that serge mark. And I can see my snip is right there. If you look closely, you can see my chalk mark. I'm going to stitch right to my chalk mark. Not down, not through it, but right to it. Do a little back stitch, and let's see how close we are. Oh, I might need 1 more stitch. Let's see what it looks like. This always gets so weird where you're trying to... All right. Did I just sew this on backwards? No. No, I'm fine. The skirt was just twisted. I swear, once you do this, you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, this is not lining up. Okay, so see how my 2 end marks right here? You can actually kind of see that. Bring you a little closer. I've closed the zipper just a little bit. These are right close to each other, which is perfect for when I need to close this zipper. Let's double check where the piping is. Oh yeah. That looks fantabulous. So now I need to finish sewing the top of my zipper because I started right at that thick piping area. When you first sew this though, you have to keep flipping your skirt because you keep thinking you put it in wrong. All right, so now I'm going to stitch from the piping up. And this is just a really good tip for all of you that are trying to match prints, or you're trying to match seams, or maybe you're doing a color blocking. If you've got an area that's thicker like this, a lot of times I will start right there and go up, and then I'll go to the other direction, because then you don't have to worry about your fabric moving, or shifting, I should say, while you're sewing. Okay. Bring you out. Let's zip this up. How's it looking? It looks great. Look at that. Beautiful. All right. Now I could probably stitch even a little closer, but I'm not going to, because once I press this seam, there's a lot of bulk right here. And if you stitch that zipper too close to here, like I mentioned, it will end up straining and stressing, and your zipper will rip eventually. So let's close this up. Our bottom seam is open. I'm going to flip my skirt around here to the wrong side. So here's my zipper tape. I push that out of the way. You can see my stitching because I'm using that gray thread. I'm going to try to line up my needle right next to this stitching, up about not even quite an inch, maybe half of an inch. So I'll put my zipper foot on the other side. Again, pushing your zipper tape out of the way. I'm going to put my foot down as close as I can get. So I'm as close as I can get to that seam, making sure that my front and back skirt are laying flat. Now I need to move my needle over that way. That way? That way. How's that? I need little emojis. That way. If you look closely, I'm hitting the left-right shift on my machine, which moves my needle over. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. You don't want to sew on your zipper, but that's pretty close to that stitch line. You want to be as close as you can get. Do a couple stitches, do a back stitch. Now about here is where I'm going to cut my thread, get rid of the zipper foot, put the regular foot on. Now my hem is not going to match at the bottom, by the way. Down here, it's not going to match because remember, I matched up my piping on my skirt, not the top of my skirt. So I'll have to make some fitting adjustments later, but for now, all I wanted was that piping to match. So let's go back to a straight stitch in the middle. Start up just a little bit right on that stitch, do a little back stitch, and sew that seam closed. Now, however skewed or difference in your hemline for this side, you need to do the same thing for the other side. You can't start lower in the top and have your waistbands adjusted and my hem to be different. And it's different because I matched up my piping. You can't do that and not do the same thing to the other side of your skirt. You'll be kind of lopsided. Does that mean I have to adjust the facing that I did? Yes, that's why I cut it 3 inches. It gave me a lot of flexibility for this. So now let's go to the other side. And if you look, by the way, at the top of my skirt, see how this is a little different up here. I did that on purpose because I wanted it to match here, which it actually looks really nice right there. Okay, now let's match up the other side of the skirt. So however different it was on this side, I need to make sure it's the same difference on this side. Unless, of course, I just cut it crooked, which hopefully I didn't. Well, yeah, you never know. Whenever you're live, you're cutting around and around. Here, I'll lay this right here. I just talked to Blaine, by the way. There are some more cutting mats available. I know somebody was asking about these recently. They come in different sizes. So these aren't cutting mats. These are sewing mats. I put my serger on it. And I put my PQ 1500 on one. And then my real big one, I have my Luminaire set up to embroidery on. It just prevents your machines from vibrating off the tables. All right, let's take a look at this. It looks like the back was a little bit higher than the front. So let's see how much. Is it the same after I start pinning? Yep, it's exactly the same. Now, one more thing. On this side here, I want to make sure that the piping matches over here too, right? So take that piping, line it up the best you can. I usually will fold it back a little bit at my seam allowance just to make sure that that's matching. I'll put a pin in sideways right there. Check the inside. That looks good. So we're ready to sew this side of the seam. Now, if you're late to the party, yes, I know that the top and the bottoms are not matching. I'm matching the piping right now. And then what I'll do is before I hem it, I'll try on the skirt and see if I need to make any other adjustments, because if I need to make it a little tighter at the waist or if I need to change anything else in the side seams. If I do, it should be very minuscule. Now on the bottom side, I think I just cut one longer than the other because they're both exactly the same. So this should be shorter, which it is, and it should match the other side. Which it does. Perfect. Okay. So now, because this is that much shorter on both sides at the hem, I need to remark my hem line. Let's go back to the skirt. Now, because I made some adjustments to line up that piping, it wasn't much. Now, actually, I think I actually cut this skirt longer on one side than the other. So the first thing I want to do is press my seam allowance open. I cannot believe our hour is already up. My alarm just went off. I'm pressing my seam allowance open. Don't worry, we'll cut off that. And then for the top, I'm just going to cut off any excess at the top as well. I saw somebody asking, how are you going to make that work? Well, you're going to make it work. That's how. This is what, when you find a design element as you're sewing and you're like, wait a minute, you know what? I should have made that match. And maybe I did. Maybe it was matching originally, and then I changed the seam allowances on the pockets or something. Anything like that could make a difference. Now, if you are using a super, super long zipper, like a really long one, now is when you could cut off that zipper, and then I usually just wrap a piece of silk fabric around the end. You're never going to zip down that far, so you really don't need to put a zipper stop or anything like that. So I will cut it off and maybe wrap a little piece of the lining around that, but for now I'm just going to leave it. So we won't be sewing the facing on. I showed you how to make the facing, but I will show you how to even everything out now. Let's see what it looks like from the right side. back on my sleeve board. I think you can see it better from there. All right, so here is the zipper side. Let me press this. We've got all that extra fabric, so how does she look? Fabulous. No puckers here. If there's a pucker here, that's always a bad invisible zipper insertion. And the piping, look at that. The piping looks fabulous. So it's not too much far off here, but I will end up cutting this down. It's basically one serged edge that I'm going to be taking off. And I'll do that all the way around. All the way around the top. I'm not going to cut it all now. I'll do it in the serger just to make sure that it all stays. And then all the way around to this side. Let's look at the other side, what it looks like. Looks exactly like the other side. See how wonderful that piping looks? That's going to look great from the side. And I actually, you're not going to be able to see the front and back. So this is the side that has a pocket. This side has nothing. It's a fake one. I think it's going to look really cool from the back. And again, I'll trim this down all the way around the top. I'll try it on first to double check that it fits fine. My seam allowance is pressed open. Don't even tell me now you wanted to have quilting because it's too late. If I wanted to make it look like quilting, I could add a little gray piece in here just as like a little decoration if I really want to. And then as far as the hem goes, let's measure how much we were off. Looks like 7/8 of an inch. Other side the same. Yep, 7/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to mark this with chalk all the way around. And I will cut that off, and that will be my new hem allowance. So I'll have to cut this off on the facing as well, or cut an entire new facing piece. It's your choice. Now for the facing, you will sew your side seams together, your front and your back side seams for your hem facing, because your side seams will match your skirt. And then you'll literally just, with right sides together, put your facing on your hem, stitch all the way around, and then press your hem facing towards the wrong side, and then either do top stitching or a blind hem. And you're finished. But that facing will really make a nice, it makes your hem stick out a little bit. And that's what I wanted with this. And it's a cotton fabric, so. And it also won't affect the A-line look. All right, now my hem is even. Let's see what she looks like. Okay, how cute is this skirt? So here's the front. And here's the back. I think it's adorable. I love it. There's the front. There's the back. Looks like two different, nobody can see your front and back at the same time, by the way. And here's the sides. And that piping matches perfect. Now, if I decide, I just have one little idea for you, and you can tell me yay or nay, because I know our hour is. Hey, Stacy, I see you in here. Stacy, by the way, check your email. I've emailed you like a few times. I'm glad you were able to make it. All right, back to this table real quick. Just to get your opinion, would you, now that you've seen what the finished skirt looks like, would you take just a small piece of gray fabric? I'll just cut this so it looks normal. And maybe just attach it like on a diagonal so it kind of ties in with that. or maybe add one piece right here, or anything like that. Would you add anything to the back to tie it all in, or would you just leave it? Oops, here, let me bring this down. Would you add a piece like this or leave it? So add a panel or no? I don't know, it looks pretty good by itself, but I'm just wondering. This is why it's so much fun to design on our own. Everybody's saying, nope, nope, leave it, leave it. Pam, is there any reason why you didn't leave the whole pocket in the back? You know what? I didn't need it. I'm going to use that front pocket. I could have, though. I could have absolutely done that. And I would have just sewn it the same way that I did the front pockets. Everybody's saying leave it. Don't make more work for yourself. Oh, I see somebody asking about the jeans. All right, hold on. Let me show you just real quick. This is what we have on the jeans so far. So all the belt loops are attached. That's in the lesson. I already put it in your academy class. And you can also see how to hem it. I also showed what it looked like if you just washed this and left a frayed hem. If you're using cotton, it's very easy. There's my pockets. I literally just took these out of the dryer. And I don't dry my jeans, but these are a little wrinkled. And then for all of you that missed the live, I sewed one belt loop on backwards. So I'm debating if I should just keep it. No, I have to rip that out. So the last step for the jeans, by the way, is the buttons, buttonholes, and rivets. So my jeans are coming together, and I'll be wearing these probably on Friday, if life goes well. And I also found my USB stick with my logo on it, which I couldn't find. So now my next pair, I can actually use my logo and not just letters. Everybody's saying leave it. Well, okay, Wolfpack, it's unanimous. Except for Yvette. Yvette says add a panel. Love it or leave it. I agree, Sewing Debbie. Just want to get it done. Leave it. I just want to get it done. So your last step then, if you're following along, will be to sew the side seams for your facing. Press the seam allowance open, and then sew the entire facing to the bottom hemline. Press up the hem towards the wrong side of the garment. Do a blind stitch, and you're finished. That's it. That's it. Thanks, Charlene. All right. Hey, DIY girl, are you sewing your jean? Are you sewing the skirt, by the way? Because add a photo. If you're on Instagram, add a photo and tag me, Angela Wolf Fashion. I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see it. All right. Anybody else? I agree. Less is more. Well, you got the whole schedule. If you missed the beginning of the show, I gave you the whole rundown. Tomorrow, Wolfpack, I'm going to see you everywhere. 12 o'clock, Brothers Show. 2 o'clock, Fashion Sewing Club. Remember this top back here that we made? I finished the neckline. That's in one of the last videos. You can go, if you're in the club, go back and watch the replay. And at 4 o'clock is the dime event. Sound good? All right. And lastly, if you're in the sloper class, go into your classroom. There's a lesson on how to take your sloper, turn it into jeans to follow my jeans class. And if you're in the jeans class, the hemming and the belt loops are in the class. And I think that's about it. There's no jeans lesson on Saturday. I will be sending the whole class an email about that. Thanks to the squirrels who've chewed through the internet cord again. I've got to quit feeding those buggers. All right, everyone. Have a great day. You know how to find me if you need me. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you. It's my favorite time of the week. The Wolfpack, you are awesome. And other than that, have a great day. Bye, everyone.